Hello everyone, this is Piyush. Welcome to my channel. The tax season is here and I'm back again with my tax filing videos for this year. Last year I made tax filing videos on federal tax as well as Indiana state tax, and I feel so grateful for receiving a lot of positive comments and personal messages from students all around the US stating that my tax videos help them in their tax filing, and it feels so good to spread financial education among youths because I believe that tax filing is very important no matter which profession you are in, whether you are a student, an engineer, doctor, or any other profession. It's important to know where your taxes go because you have earned that money due to your sweat and hard work. So you should know where your money is actually going and how you can save taxes legally. Wait, hang on. If you are thinking about skipping to the main part of the tax filing, I would suggest don't do that because my situation might be different from yours. For example, I'm on my F-1 visa. If you're on your other visa or you earn other types of income other than W-2, make sure you watch this initial part of the video and not skip to the main part of tax filing. We will get into it in a few minutes. I would highly recommend you to watch the entire video and not just skip to the main part of tax filing. See, you can always go to any agent and pay them 50 or 100 bucks and get your tax filing done. But my perspective is that you should do it yourself because it not only saves money for you, but you also know where your taxes are going, and in the future you might know how to save your taxes legally. On top of that, it's about taking personal responsibility for your financial life, and it feels so good that you file taxes by yourself. You feel good about yourself and you just educate yourself more when it comes to tax filing. It might feel complicated if you are new, but believe me, it's not that hard, and I believe that it's just a bunch of papers and some numbers. You just have to know where to put these numbers on the forms. This video is specifically for students who have Glacier software access by their universities, which helps us filing federal tax. A thing to note is that you have to file taxes separate for federal tax, which is the central government, and the state tax where you earned your income. It might be in Indiana, California, New York, or any other state that you worked in. One disclaimer, I'm not a tax professional. I'm just a student who graduated last December, and this is how I filed my form, so you can use this as a guide. But if you have any additional complications apart from the things that I covered in this video, you can always consult your tax professional at your university or any other agent to clarify your doubt. Before getting into it, the first step is to get all your tax forms ready. So most of y'all would have form W2, which states how much income you earned in any financial year. So I did my part-time with Purdue and also did an internship in California. So I have two W2 forms, but you might have any number of W2 forms, it doesn't matter. But you need to have all of these ready to put the numbers in the Glacier software. Apart from that, last year I had dividend income as well as interest income. So I have two additional forms. But if you didn't have any additional income, you can skip those portion and just have your W2 ready. I have made separate videos on how you can get your W2, whether it's from ADP for Purdue or getting it from Aramark. You can see the videos right here. So a thing to note is that I'm a non-resident alien for tax purposes. If you just started out in the US and doing your masters or your education from here, you will mostly be a non-resident alien for tax purposes. And I'm a student from India, so India and US has a tax treaty which allows us to use standard deduction in our tax filing. But many other countries also have a tax treaty, so make sure you check on that whether your country has a tax treaty with the US for tax purposes. So now I will start sharing my screen and let's get into it. So you can start by searching Glacier tax login. Click on this link right here and use your login credentials to access the software. Once you log in, you can read the instructions and accept the conditions. Then click on this first option, create, update, view my individual record, and click on next. You can select the appropriate option. So I was a student worker last year. If you had a scholarship, you can select this option or any option that applies to you and click on next. So I had a part-time income from Purdue, so I will click the first option. If you didn't have any income, select the second option and click on next. So this includes your first name, middle name, last name, and your email address, and also your social security number right here, or if you don't have one, you can select one of these options. Scroll below and you can enter your Purdue ID right here and click on next. This is your US mailing address. So currently I'm working full time in New York, so I have entered my New York address, my phone number, and click on next. This is the permanent foreign address, so I am from India, so my permanent address will be my Indian address. So I just entered my address right here and clicked on next. Your country of citizenship, for me it's India, and country of tax residence is India as well. You can read these instructions if you are unclear, and once you enter the options, click on next. Please indicate the institution that sponsored your immigration status should be Purdue University or the university that you are a part of. What is your current US immigration status? So I just graduated in December and currently on my OPT, so I will select the F-1 or OPT or CPT option. You can select yours appropriately and click on next. The original date of entry will be the one that you came to the US in, and the date of permission to stay expires. You should use the date from Form I-20. So for me it's the end date of my EAD, so I entered that date and clicked on next. It asks, have you changed your immigration status? So for me, like, I came on my F-1 and still on my F-1 status, so I will have the first option. For most of them it will be the first option, but you can just read both of them and click on next. This shows how many days you were present in the US. So after coming I went to India 2 or 3 times, so I just included that data and the number of days I was not present in the US in each of the calendar year. If you previously visited the US, you can click this option and select this appropriately. Once you do that, you can click next. So after you enter the details in the previous page, the Glacier software automatically calculates the number of days you were present in each calendar year and the immigration status you held, so you can just confirm it if you want to and click on next. So again click on next. So it says that based on the information provided, you do not qualify for an exemption, but India and US has a tax treaty where you can claim a standard deduction of around $13,000. So don't worry, it will be applied in the later stages. For now, just click on next. This will show your details. So the tax residency status change and all is automatically entered here, so you don't need to worry about that. Just click on next. So this page gives your form W4. You can just review it and save it on your desktop, which will be used later. Click on next. So now you have to mail these documents, the one that we downloaded in the last page, and send to Jane Coleman to this address. And you don't have to email it, but you have to physically mail the documents to this given address, so make sure you do that. One thing to note is that this is not a federal requirement, this is a university requirement, so please make sure you do that to the given address and on time. Just read the instructions and then click on next. Now click on select other activities to perform. Our tax filing is not yet completed, so we have some more steps to go. Click on return. Now go to complete my US tax return using Glacier tax prep and click on next. In this will show your details, your first name, last name, SSN and all the details, so make sure all the information is correct. Select yes and click on next. Again it asks us for some basic information such as email address, US address, the home country address, your passport number, then click on next. This just says that GTP will not electronically file your tax return for you. It's your duty to review the form, sign the forms and send it to the required address to the government to make sure the tax filing is completed. Just select the option and continue to GTP. So there are 4 steps. Let's go to the step 1. Again you have to enter your personal information, make sure everything is correct and click on next. Again this asks like when did you exit from the US and when did you enter. As I mentioned, I went to India 2 or 3 times, so I did all the details in here and my immigration status during the visit, and click on next. This shows the summary, so make sure it's correct. And again, based on your inputs in the last page, they will calculate the number of days you were actually present in each of the years. Just click on next. So it says that you are a non-resident alien for tax purposes. Go to step 2. Here you can add all the forms. So as I mentioned, this year I also add an interest income and dividend income. So I will also fill 1099 DIV, which is for dividends, and 1099 INT for interest. So if you had any investment and got dividends, the financial institution will provide you this form, and this form as well, whether it's a bank or a financial institution. So if you don't have this, simply don't add that. But if you worked part-time or were employed for the year 2023, you will definitely have form W2. So just click on add form, and if you have your W2, you know that it is quite similar to this. You will see the same box number as your W2. So just open your W2 and enter the wages right here. So if you have 2 jobs in the last year, so you will have separate W2s. So make sure you add only one in this, and we will add another form when we go back. So I worked for Purdue as well as I had an internship, so I have 2 W2s. First I will fill my internship W2. Box 1 is the total wages that you received. Box 2 is the federal tax withheld, that is the total federal tax that was cut from your pay. Next is social security wages. So as a non-resident, we are not eligible to pay the social security and Medicare wages. So if it were deducted from your paycheck, you have to make sure to contact your employer, or you can fill other forms. I have made a separate video on that. The next is the employer state ID number. So for me it was California, so I will select that. The state wages, the state income tax, and the local wages if it were deducted. So you can get your W2 and compare the boxes 15, 16, 17 and 18 as well as 19 to see how much taxes were deducted for each of these boxes. One thing I forgot is that you also have to enter your employer identification number, which you will find on your W2. So once you fill all the boxes, make sure the amount matches exactly as per your W2 for all the boxes that are in yellow. Once you do that, you will see this option of institute type. So this W2 that I filled out was during my internship, so it was a corporate entity. I will click that option and click on save. So as I mentioned, I had another part-time job with Purdue University, so I will click on add another form for W2. And similarly, like the last form, I will fill all the boxes. So for this form, as I was employed by my university, I will click the first option and click on save. So now my W2 is done. Most of you all will have incomes only for W2, but I had dividend as well as interest, so I will click on that. If you had that income, you can just follow me, or you can forward the video to the next part. So for the dividends, again you have to enter the payer's TIN, that is tax identification number, that you can find on 1099 DIV. Then you will find box 1A, enter the amount as it is and click on save. Now I also add an interest, so I will click on add form. Again enter the payer's TIN, the interest income, and the federal income tax withheld if there were any. So here comes the important part. The interest that I received was from Wealthfront, and I just saw that in their disclosures that they are identifying themselves as a brokerage account, so I will have to select the second option. But if you received interest from a US bank or a financial institution and you had a checking account or savings account, you will click the first option. So make sure to check where you received your interest from. If you're unsure about that, just call your bank or your financial institution and ask what they identify themselves as. So for me it's a investment or brokerage account, so I will click the second option and click on save. Once you fill all the relevant forms from here, you can click on next. So it says while there is an income tax treaty between US and India, you do not qualify for an exemption for the income. So again, as I mentioned, it will be applied later, so don't stress out here. It will be applied when the tax filing forms are filled, so just hang on and click on next. So it shows the total wages that you received, so it adds all the W2 income. I had a couple of W2s, so it added them, the total dividends and the total US interest. So now let's go to step 3. Again, enter your US address, click on next. The permanent foreign address, for me it's an Indian address, so I entered that and clicked on next. Enter your social security number and click on next. Your marital status on the last day of 2023, select your option and click on next. So I think most of the Purdue students got an email from Glacier that the DSO stated on your form I-20 is not the one that you enter here. They gave the specific details, so make sure your university has given it and click on next. During 2023, did you pay any interest on a loan from a US bank? So I clicked on no. So the first question is, did you make any contributions to the US charity? For me it's no, so I clicked on no. The second is, during 2023 did you make any estimated federal tax payments? So I will click on no because I didn't use the form 1040ES. The next one is about crypto, like did you receive or sell, exchange or dispose a digital asset? Again, for me it is no. Have you ever applied for a green card for US? It's no. Have you ever been approved? No. Have you ever been a US citizen? No. Enter all the options appropriately. The next is, have you ever filed a US tax return? For me it's yes. I filed a tax return for the last year and it was the form 1040NR. Next question is, were you eligible for a tax refund that you instructed the IRS to keep money? So if you got the refund last year, so click on the second option, no. If I was eligible for a refund, I asked the IRS to mail a check or directly deposit into my account, so you will select this option if you filed it for the last year and got asked IRS for a refund. Once you click that, click on next. So as I mentioned, like the final step, it shows that you are due a refund, so the standard deduction is applied here, and based on the information entered you will see how much refund you are entitled to. Now they ask like, how would you like to receive your tax refund? I would definitely prefer a direct deposit instead of a check, so it gets deposited directly into your bank account. So it shows that tax refund may take longer than 10 months, but last year for me it came within 1 or 2 months, so don't worry. I think it's just on a safer side, but you will definitely get it before that. Enter the type of account where you want your tax refund to be deposited in. Enter the details. Make sure to double check the details because this is where you will receive your refund. If you enter the wrong details, you won't receive any refund. Now, as I mentioned, the GTP won't send the documents on your behalf. It's your duty to print, review, actually sign it by hand and mail your documents to the relevant address. And just tick this box, click on next. Do you have any dependents? I clicked on no. Congratulations, the software successfully completed all your tax filing forms, and you can see which all documents they have filed it for you. The form 1040NR, schedule NEC for me because I had dividend and interest income. If you don't have that income, the schedule NEC won't be applied to you. Next is the schedule OI. The last is form 8843. You can click on print view forms. This shows all the instructions, like this is the address where you have to mail your signed forms, so make sure you send it to this address, and they give all the instructions of which documents to attach. I will make a separate video on how to send your documents, but all the instructions are here, so you can read it carefully and do the needful. So this is only the federal tax. Be aware that you also have to file state taxes in all the states that you worked in for the year 2023. So based on my address, it states that I need to file state taxes for California, Indiana and New York. So California, I did my internship there. Indiana, I had my part-time with Purdue. But New York, it shows because I entered the current address as that. But I started working in New York this year, so I will pay a tax for New York in the next year. So that's it. Now you can log out from Glacier and your federal tax filing is done. Just make sure you review, sign, print, and mail the documents to the IRS to the correct address. As you saw from the video, the tax filing is not hard, especially if you have a Glacier software provided by your university. So instead of going to pay any agent, I would suggest you see this video and know that how easy it is to file taxes. This video is specifically for federal taxes. I will make a separate video on how to file federal taxes if you don't have a Glacier software, so don't worry. And I will also post videos on how to file your state taxes. For me, it was Indiana state tax as well as California state tax. So I'm just trying to figure out how to file California taxes because it gets a little complicated when you have different types of income such as dividend and interest. I will try to learn as much as I can and try to figure out how the California state tax is done and post the video as soon as I'm done with my tax filing. So one more thing I want to clarify once again is that the Glacier software won't mail your documents to the IRS. It's your duty to print these forms that Glacier just gave it to you. You have to review it, sign it, and mail it to the correct address to the IRS in order for your filing to be completed. Last year, I completed my federal tax filing somewhere around March mid or March end, and I received my refund in the first week of April. So they state that it will take more than 10 months, but don't worry, if you selected direct deposit, it usually comes in a few weeks or a few months at max. Comment down if you have any doubts. If I know them, I will definitely try to clarify it. Otherwise, you can consult your tax professional at your university or any other tax agent. Like, comment, and subscribe my channel if you find my content useful. Thank you again for watching this video. Until next time.